like to start this interview asking for Ernest about his character, George Washington Black. Walks a path of maturity, personal growth, and resilience against a system that is clearly set against him. How do you think the show can inspire people facing similar struggles today?
For sure. I think when you see a story of a young boy that looks like us, or like like in the sense of heritage and stuff, I think it makes you know that these things are possible. It's possible to triumph in the face of adversity, in the face of these things that you're kind of faced up against. And I feel like how he kind of does it in the magnitude that he does, in the scale that he does, I think it proves as a huge inspiration, because it's all done from a place of love and grace and ambition. Yeah.
Makes total sense. Next question is for Sterling.
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you about the series itself. So the show has a strong historical foundation. How was the whole process of historical research and accuracy that helped bring this story to life?
Tons of research, and I would give our writing staff all the credit in the world for making sure that they got things as historically accurate as possible. Just researching the transatlantic slave trade, the nature of what was happening in Barbados at that time versus what was happening in the States, because we go from Barbados to the United States to Halifax, Nova Scotia, to the Arctic, to Europe, to Africa. Like, there was a lot of research to be done, and they put in a lot of time. But it was also important because it's such a global story. And we wanted to make sure that parts of all of those cultures saw something that was authentic in the storytelling for them, right? Sometimes people will gloss over certain aspects and not get things right, but we wanted to make sure that the Bayesian people saw something that they recognized, that the Afro-Nova Scotian community in Halifax saw something that they recognized, So there was a lot of time and a lot of attention into detail that was put in, and hopefully it comes out in the final product.
Perfect, and I can tell you the final result is amazing. There are some scenarios that are breathtaking.
Right on.
It's really immersive, so I felt myself in there.
I'm trying to keep up with the Star Wars that you got going on.
I'm a huge fan of Star Wars. I'm a huge fan.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. So, Ernest, Wash was a science by nature. He's an observer, curious about how things work. And how do you think his strong cultural heritage influenced him to follow this path?
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's a lovely question. We see with his connection to, many big hit, when he was younger, there is that instilling of the spiritual element, all these different gods that they worship at the time, and like there's already that connection to that spiritual realm, and I feel like those kind of connections are very, like, your heart and your mind and your soul have to be really engrossed in that, and you can see it in those scenes that Eddie and Shawnette plays Big Hit very beautifully. And I feel like that just feeds into the science, the creativity, having that kind of passion where your whole soul is kind of engrossed in it, and like just moving before you even like your soul moves before your body does, one feeds into the other, and yeah.
It's almost like we like to try to draw this dichotomy that science and spirituality are two separate things. And I think watching shows that like there's two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, I had the same impression. This is amazing because the way the show unites these two spectras, it's wonderful. I had the same impression. So that's very good, guys. So the next question I would like to ask you for Sterling is about a theme that is central in the series, which is the systemical racism. So George Washington Black, or Washington Black better saying, shows how symbolic, systemic, and physical violence was imposed on Black lives in that historical period. And in a way, it makes us confront how much of that past is still present. In your view, how can telling stories like Washington Black challenge structural racism today, beyond just portraying it?
Man, you better come on, Felipe. You my dog now. I think they are of tremendous import. I think that we grow through our exposure. And our exposure can come through travel, can come through reading, can come through media, right? And the idea that right now in the United States, a lot of folks are trying to erase our history, right? Because they say that it's an uncomfortable thing to talk about. But Black history is American history. Like, you can't really tell the story of one without the other. And so what I'm most interested in this story is that not the pain of the experience, not the trauma of slavery, but the fact that we were able to transcend that institution and achieve in spite of, right? That we had dreamers who were in the midst of this thing that were still able to become larger than life human beings. Like, Ernest talks about George Washington Carver being one of the inspirations for him and sort of researching Washington Black. Like, this man who found all these incredible inventions and some things out of a peanut that was able to do thousands and thousands of things with the peanut, right? There is this amazing ability, if you don't allow circumstances to bring you down, if you have a vision that pulls you forward and out of your current circumstances, that vision can transcend and bring you into a state of joy. So that's what I'm really most interested in, but also just making sure that there's not an erasure that takes place with regards to our stories.
I can see the level of passion that you guys have in the series when you're talking about it. It's amazing. And I have one last question that it's just about this passion, this partnership between Madwin and Wash. So the series shows how Wash and Madwin share as other characters, build a sense of brotherhood that helps them face their struggles. Do you guys, and I would like you both to answer this final question, do you still see this kind of empathic bond happening in today's world?
I love this kid. I absolutely love him. He's one of my favorite people on the planet. And I think in seeing him and being in his presence, he reminds me of the goodness of people. And he reminds me of the goodness of me. Like, I don't see him as separate and distinct. I was like, oh, I have a little bit of Ernest in me. And like, how great do I feel to know that I have a little bit of Ernest in me? And he reminds me to lean into the better parts of myself. So yes, it still happens today.
Yeah, I mean, I second that. I think, thank you. Kind of words. Yeah, I think it happens I mean, you said in today's world, I mean, I think it also happens in such a microscopic way, like just in the small kind of moments you share with a friend, with a brother, an actual brother or sister. Like, I think it's definitely prevalent. Like, there are things that happen in the world, things that happen with people that are hard and difficult. But I think at the heart of it, at the core of everyone, there is a level of love in which you are, if you are attuned to it, at the base level of humanity, it's there, it's potent. And of course, as Sterling said, like, it's on and off screen for us, like as soon as the first day we met on set, it was nothing but love, and that shorthand was quickly developed. And I think it was also because of that thing of, that there is that instant connection. We're not so we're more similar than we are different.
Yeah.
And I think that's the case for humanity in general.
Yes.
And some people are more attuned to that than others.
Guys, I love this interview as well. You guys are so lovely. I would like to formally thank you in the name of Aventuras na História, which is the portal I'm working for. It means Adventures in History. We cover some historical news and, of course, everything generally related to history, as sure as Washington Black does. So thank you so much.